we're starting off the stream. I didn't even put you in the background, Jackie. It's all
That's
good.
okay.
Surprise,
it's all good.
everyone.
We're here.
We're here. Hey, happy Tuesday, everyone. Holy cow. I think everybody's got an election hangover going on.
A little bit.
A little election hangover. So
little.
we get the music to kind of set the stage to like, we're going to be nice and calm this live stream.
Yes.
Nice and calm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're, Jackie, we're going to talk about some stuff on how this election and the outcome of the election affects the housing market. And how the president-elect policies are going to impact the housing market, what that looks like. You know, is it going to help? Is it going to hurt? All the things. So we're gonna get into it. One thing that I will say, we've got a few people coming on right now. I'm gonna make it super clear. We are not going to do political commentary. No political comments. So if we're doing it, unfortunately, not to be like the mean mama here, but if anyone starts posting anything pro or against either candidate, see you later. Because this conversation is strictly about the housing market. We're talking about how the housing market is going to change. What does it look like for the immediate future, and what we can see. So, what do you think about that, Jackie?
I think that's a wonderful plan. So, and and listen, it's your live stream. You can do whatever the heck you want. So
yeah, it's my party. I can do what I want to.
You're darn right, girl. You're darn right.
Okay, so. RCA is not calling anytime soon. Well, I hope, regardless of who voted for who, doesn't matter. We've got a serious housing problem going on, and it's a housing problem that's very complicated. There's lots of facets to it. We've got inventory issues. We've got housing prices. Let's put that in the top of the tier. Housing prices and affordability, or lack thereof, right?
Yep.
And then all the things that kind of trickle underneath it. There's nothing, the low inventory in a lot of areas, which is starting to change.
Yep.
Interest rates, in terms of, the unknown of what's going to happen with interest rates and how that affects affordability. And then we've got all the other things. There's so many nuances to the housing market that affects how things trickle out. So I'm going to dive right into this article, Jackie.
All right, let's do it.
Let's get busy. People aren't hanging around to hear us jabber about stuff.
Let's do it, my friend.
So this is an article that, and be truthful, I tried to look for, there's so much press, right? There's so much press. Jackie, you and I have been talking about this for, ad nauseum. There is, so much conversation. Hey, we got to, hey, just as a side note, guys, I've got some new streaming software here that I'm test driving. So, Leah, you're the first comment.
Yay,
you just
Leah.
Christened my live stream software.
Yay.
So I'm so happy to be here. Yes, live. I'm 100%. We are so happy to have you here.
Yes. Thanks for being here.
But the thing is the main focus in trying to find an article and start this conversation was, to try to find an article that's middle of the road. Right. Mm-hmm. There's, everything's swinging one way, swinging the other way. It's going to help the housing market. It's going to hurt the housing market, all the things in between. So I felt like, coming from realtor.com pretty much stays in the middle, right? In terms of, just the facts. What was that detective show back in the, was it the 70s, 80s? No, it was like just the facts, ma'am, just the facts.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The 60s or something.
That'll come to me. I'll figure that out.
So this was by Realtor.com. Donald Trump will return to the White House. What his presidency means for the housing market. I won't read through this beginning part of it. It just rehashes everything that happened over Tuesday, Wednesday. We all know what the outcome is. Susan just said she got an offer after 3 months on the market. Well, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Fantastic.
Congrats, Susan.
So the
That's
first
awesome.
thing, Jackie,
Yes, Jen.
and Ruby just joined us and said that they are very interested selling soon. So we're gonna so
Oh,
thank you for the conversation.
okay.
Oh, here we go.
Nicole said Colombo. Thank you,
Thank
Nicole.
you, thank you, Nicole.
Because I was about to Google it. So thank you,
Just the
Nicole.
facts. Just the
Just the
facts, ma'am.
facts.
Just the
That's it.
facts.
Yes.
So the first item on the agenda that he talked about ad nauseum in Trump's campaign was the mass deportation of immigrants. Again,
Right.
as folks are coming into this live stream, we're not talking about policies. We're not talking about one side versus the other, positive, negative, and
Nope.
any of that political stuff. We're just talking about how this affects the housing market, and it does, right, Jackie? It absolutely does. So
Yes. Yep.
the Realtor.com conversation, the Realtor.com article says that Trump has promised to carry out the largest deportation operation in American history and argues that this will ease housing prices by reducing demand. In reality, the evidence that immigration is a major factor in housing cost is mixed. While there is a reason to believe that higher immigration levels can drive up local rents in a city, the recent post-pandemic surge in home prices began before illegal immigration levels jumped. That's super important. I think it's not necessarily super important, but good to know in terms of the history of how we got here. The Realtor.com
Right.
senior economist Ralph McLaughlin says that the kind of massive immigration crackdown that Trump proposes would have large and negative consequences on the U.S. housing market in both short and long run. He says in the short run, reducing immigration could severely hurt the labor supply needed for home building, since up to 1 to a third of residential construction employment consists of foreign-born workers. McLaughlin adds, in the long term, extreme immigration restrictions could have a spillover effect on the broader economy. Lending Tree senior economist Jacob Channel agrees, writing that mass deportations would not solve the fundamental issues with the housing market. While fewer immigrants could free up some housing for those who remain in the U.S., the economic fallout from mass deportations would be catastrophic for the nation's broader economy. I'm going to hit pause right there so we can unpack and have a
Sure.
conversation about this.
Yep.
So, one of the things that I've had, conversations with folks about in terms of that impact, and truthfully, even during the campaigns and whatnot, Jackie, this looking at immigration this way, I think is a newer to me anyways. It's not something that I've heard a lot of conversation about necessarily. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? The deportation from the standpoint of safety and security and all the things. But
Right.
if we're talking strictly about housing, what they're saying here is that a good chunk of laborers that work on homes, and there's a couple different things at play here. There's a good chunk of what laborers, undocumented foreign-born workers that work on these new construction buildings, right?
Mm-hmm.
They work on renovations, right?
Yep.
And if they are kicked out of the picture, now you're going from maybe you're paying a discounted worker, shows up and does
Mm-hmm.
the thing and whatever, to now you're paying top dollar. Who closes that gap? The builder's not
Right.
going to just be like, oh, out of the goodness of my heart, I'll cover it all for you.
No. Nope. Not happening.
It's not going to
Definitely
happen.
not happening.
It's not going to happen. It's it's a trickle down effect, right? Like for the
Right.
same reason that the cost of building materials during COVID went
Mm-hmm.
up.
Yep.
Builders pass that on to the consumer, right?
Exactly.
I
Yep.
don't know. What's your take on
So listen,
this?
on this thing here, I'll be honest with you. I don't think that's going to have any impact on the housing market, with the exception of Yeah, I mean, we definitely need the workers to help with building the home. My father ran a contracting business, a roofing business, and he had a lot of immigrants that worked for him. Many that he tried to help get them here legally, help them with trying to get them, I guess, legalized, right? To
Sure,
try to
sure.
get to help them become citizens. Um, so I definitely see that part of that, but um, to say uh, it's going to have a big impact on the housing market. It's not, because the demand part. This is what I'm going to talk about. I'm sorry, my head is like I'm going
It's
like
a
a mile a minute right
we're
now.
gonna we're
So
gonna.
I know
It's a
the
lot.
demand
It's a lot.
the demand part of it. What they were saying that, oh, it's going to cut back on the demand. The demand was with our millennials, and that started. You're right. That started before the pandemic. Okay, the
Yep.
millennials are the largest generation right now that are in need of a home. So, I mean, could these immigrants lead to, because if you're not here legally, you can get a mortgage. You definitely can. I mean, I help people from Canada that were just here on a green card get them. They bought a house here.
True.
You can do that, but is it going to be that much where it's going to cause all this extra demand? Maybe down the road, but I think that the major demand is from our millennial population. So that, when I read this and I saw that, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's going to have an impact, on the housing market. What he's saying there, I don't see that.
You don't.
But
So in terms of like the labor supply, though, in
well, the labor
terms of
supply, yeah. So the labor, yes. But here's my other point to this. We also need to get back to the trades. Teach, like, the kids. It's been ingrained in families' heads and our kids' heads to go to college, go to college, go to college. There hasn't been enough emphasis on the trades. The trades are dying because
yep.
they're just not. Look, where I live, it's a pretty affluent area. At college, it's like this is all the parents worry about here. It's like, where's my kid going to college?
Oh,
I
I'm right
have
in the
one.
middle of it. I'm right in the middle of it. My kid's a
Yeah,
senior in high school, and it's researching colleges, and I basically told her, I said, well, you've got two choices. I said, you either you go to college or you go in the trades.
yeah,
Period. That's
yeah. Right.
it.
That's
Those are your
exactly
two
so.
choices. You go to college or the
Right,
trades, one of the two.
but
And
but
it,
the
but you're right.
the
The push at the school level, at the education level,
it's not
is
there.
no, and it's looked on. And I mean, we could go
Non-existent.
down a rabbit hole on this big time.
I
But
Yeah, I don't mean to
eh,
go on that rabbit hole,
no, no,
but you're
no.
right. There's a-
But
We
go
need
ahead.
that though, Jen. We need that because like our high school here, when my middle guy he knew he wasn't going to go to college. He had to bring names of trade schools to his guidance counselor. Because I mean, that's how much they are, like, they're out of they're out of it. It's like, what college, they're all about the colleges.
Right.
So we need more of that to come back, into the schools. It's like, because there are kids and they feel like crap too. Like, they feel like the college is not for them, and they're kind of feeling like they're left out. It's like, no, but I want to go into a trade, and the high schools are kind of like, no, you want to go to college, and if you don't go to college, it's like, yeah, can't help you. So that, not to go down this rabbit hole, but we need more of that too in this country. And look, and I'm not saying, that um, having the undocumented laborers. I mean, yeah, no, they're great. Um, and I agree with you that I think that could have an effect on the housing cost too.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I,
It's gonna
I
be.
agree with that. But as far as the housing demand, the demand is greater, I feel, with our own population than coming from the immigrants. But
So
that's me.
David Manny brings up the point. He says, I see mass deportations having more of an impact on the rental market. And
Yeah,
I think I don't know, I think you might be onto something there, David, for sure, because even though a lot of these undocumented immigrants that with the green cards, like you said, Jackie, can buy homes, a lot
yeah,
of them are not. They're renting.
true.
And,
You're right.
so
Right.
this potentially, potentially would, open up things. Let's see here. Good afternoon. How would you say that, Jackie? Umpqua Valley?
Umpqua
Valley?
Valley. Yep.
Roseburg, Oregon. Welcome,
Nice.
welcome.
Yes.
David says that if illegal immigrants are working off the books and not earning a fair wage, that is not fair to the immigrants. Well, that's I don't know that that's
Mm-hmm.
entirely untrue, right?
Right. Yep.
100%.
Good point, David.
Leah says a green card holder is a legal immigrant,
Oh, they are. Okay. Well,
which
not
would make
entirely though.
sense.
I
Well,
mean, you have a green card, but or a visa. I'm sorry, I'm confused. Isn't there like if you're here on a visa, that's not you're not legal here yet, correct?
I
Forgive me for
I am
everybody
not an
watching this.
expert in this field.
I'm a little stupid on this
I am
stuff,
not
but
an
yeah, I'm
expert in this
sorry.
field. I know what.
Lee's probably right, so sorry.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
because visas have to have expiration dates, correct?
right, it's a visa. That's a couple I helped. They had a visa, but they were still able to buy, but then they're working. Yes. Yep. Never mind. I'm sorry, Jen.
David agreed. You don't have to apologize.
Okay.
We're
I'm just
just making
stupid
this up
today.
as we go here tonight.
Exactly.
Yeah, for those jumping in, I'm test driving some new live streaming software. Couple things to just clear, housekeeping. So bear with me on the new streaming software, but also because we are having a political conversation, but not talking politics. We're talking impact on housing market. So we're going to keep this. We're going to keep this chat politic free. Otherwise, yeah.
Yep. We're out of here.
We
You
will
get the boot.
politely or not even politely just say, I'm sorry, goodbye.
Yeah.
Wait for it, wait for it. There we go.
There we go. I love my sound effects. Okay.
California Sunset Watcher. I love your handle there. Do you know if rent will lower? Well, that's a good, I think that based on what David
Yeah.
just said, if we have, it's supply and demand, right, Jackie? That's what the number one,
Yep.
the one thing that impacts on what someone will pay for a home will determine what the demand is. If there's more demand, the
Yep.
seller's in a position to raise the price because you've got five people trying to get the thing versus one person. If you only have one
Correct.
person, then it's like there's less competition. So if you've got more, it stands to reason if you have an influx of open rentals because certain population is no longer
Hmm.
in taking up those rentals, then yeah, which would mean
Right.
that the rents, getting the rent. I have a college grad at home. I love my children. I love my children.
Don't we? Don't we love our children? Yes, we do.
I want them to go into the world. I love them so much. I want to set them free.
Yeah,
But they
that's what
can't
we're supposed to
afford to
do.
be. They can't afford it. They can't afford it. It's
I know.
just, it's just,
Yep.
it's a little bonkers. So it would be great
Yep.
if we had some lower rent.
Yep.
Ruby says, agreed. And so finding a licensed, experienced carpenter and other trade school graduates is now so expensive. Supply and demand.
Yep. That's exactly it.
Supply and demand.
Yep.
All of a sudden, if we have 14 plumbers that are looking for work, you're not paying $150 an hour or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
now you've got more to choose from. It puts more people to work.
Yep.
Let's be honest, Jackie. Those trades, those trades professionals, they make some good money.
They do. They do very, very
They do.
well.
They're making a
Very
lot more
well.
money than some of these, kids going into professional jobs with degrees. Seriously.
I know. Well, that's why I wanted
You
my
know?
son to get into a trade. It's like, but then he started at a trade school. It was more like a college, but he hated it. Hated being away from home. Just hated going to school. It's like, okay, so go work for somebody and learn how to do the trade. Like you don't have to go to
Absolutely.
school for that. Just go and learn it. And yeah, you get good at it. Like my father, he was a tradesman. He was a roofer. He dropped out of high school, worked for a roofer, learned a business, then started his own business and was super successful and did very well. So we need to bring that mentality back that it's okay if your kid wants to go into
I
a trade.
think
I
that's
just
the
feel
thing.
like
yeah,
Yeah.
it's got to be socially accepted. It's not
Yes.
just like, Kelly says, parents need to demand the trade option at their school boards. 110%
Yeah,
agree.
I agree.
But
Kelly,
it's like
amen. We do.
even
Yeah.
goes more than that. It's like you don't, kids get looked at a lot depending on different parts of the country, right? It's going to be,
Mhm.
if you live in an area where predominantly the kids have a high college rate, the kids that
Yep.
don't go to college are looked down on. And that's a social
Mm,
change that needs to happen.
I agree. So
100%.
true. So true.
California Sunset Watcher says, I've been a journeyman wireman for 25 years, just cleared under. Woohoo.
See? There you go. Good
Yeah.
for you.
So can I give
Good
you
for
my
you.
address? Because,
Yeah.
I got a kid that just graduated college, another one going, I'm like, I need somebody to just like randomly drop off a bag of money in my front door or something.
Right? Yes. Oh my
It can
God.
happen it happens in the movies. Why can't it happen at my house? I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Yes.
Jackie's like,
I don't know.
you're crazy. Joe says
Hello,
Visa.
Joe.
Joe Pareca over in Southern California.
We're
Visa
Yep.
just means you can legally be in the country and possibly work based on the
Based on the
visa
visa
type.
type. Okay. Thank you, Joe, for clarifying that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, California. It's obviously going to take time. I just wonder how much time for my daughter's sake. Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
Yep.
110%.
Yep.
We've got Helena. Thanks for joining us. Hi, girls. Thank you so much for all the knowledge you share. As a Brazilian, I come from a completely different market, and your content has helped me immensely keep us. Well, you're very, very welcome, and
Oh,
I'm so happy to have you here.
yay.
100%.
Thanks, Helena.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see. Leah's chiming in. Green card holder is a permanent resident alien,
President Alien.
not a citizen, and therefore not able to
Oh,
vote. I believe
got you.
Mr. Trump refers to undocumented immigrants. You are
Got it.
correct.
Thank you,
You
Lee.
100%.
See? The more you know, Jen.
Oh, I was just in the mid cough here, so
Sorry.
you gotta. Here we go. There we go. Gotcha.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee. I
Um,
appreciate it.
Ferrelli 7777 pretty much every economist, including all Nobel winners, say that if Trump carries out what he says, it will severely damage the economy, including housing. Even Musk agrees that there will be a pain. We shall see.
We shall say. We don't
We
know.
shall see.
Don't know
Time
until
will
we're in it.
tell.
Yep.
You know what? It's
Yep.
like, talking to my friends and whatnot. When it comes to, the outcome of this election, you can control only what you can control. And
Yep.
worrying about what hasn't happened yet is needless worrying.
Exactly.
So you would just that good old saying, cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yep.
I mean, you just don't know.
No, you
Speculation
don't.
is like, talk is cheap. Talk is
That's
cheap,
right.
and we hope for the best outcome, regardless of who you
Exactly.
voted for. Let's hope for the best outcome.
Absolutely.
But we'll just worry about our own personal economy. David says, what about innovation and less regulation? I love a good segue. I
See?
love it. Oh, man,
Da-
I just
yeah,
love a good
David did his
segue.
homework. Yeah. Thanks, David.
Hey, thanks, David Matney, because the next topic is cutting regulations and opening up federal land for building.
Yes.
So this was the second thing that was in, that is on the horizon. And it says that Trump has called for slashing regulations and Trump has called for slashing regulations and permit requirements that home builders say add unnecessary costs to new homes. I don't disagree with this at all.
Right. I don't either.
Trump was quoted as saying, "We will eliminate regulations that drive up housing costs with the goal of cutting the cost of a new home in half." We think we can do it. The regulations alone cost 30%. The regulation costs 30% of a new home, Trump claimed in a September speech. However, those figures appear to be dramatically overblown. The National Association of Home Builders, a longstanding industry critic of regulations, which they have been, estimates that site work and regulated permit fees account for 7.4% of the average new home cost, with overhead and general expenses accounting for an additional 5.1%. That sounds better to me, Jackie.
Yeah, that's definitely more
30% is a
realistic.
little
But
bit, little
yeah,
exaggerated. Many economists agree that streamlining and eliminating regulations would help boost home construction and reduce costs, though it's difficult to imagine achieving the extent of price relief that Trump envisions. Fewer regulations and more available space on which to build may reduce home building costs and help increase the housing supply, says Channel. That said, limiting regulations won't be enough to cut prices in half, and ending some isn't a cure-all for the problems plaguing the nation's housing market. In a statement by the National Association of Home Builders chairman Carl Harris, he congratulated Trump on the win. He says, throughout the campaign, voters have consistently pointed to the lack of housing availability and affordability as a key issue in their voting decision. Now is the time to take action to address the nation's housing shortage and let builders build. Trump also said he would open up portions of, like two things going on here. Trump would also open up portions of federal land for large-scale housing construction. These zones would be ultra-low tax, ultra-low regulation. One of the great, really small business job creation programs that will be of all time. We're going on to open up our country to building homes inexpensively so young people and other people can buy homes. Economists also generally support the idea as one way to boost new home construction. However, one limitation of the plan is that in many cases there is no significant federal land located near the places where people want to work and live. Nationwide, the federal government owns about 27% of the total land area, but much of that land is located in the western U.S. In other regions of the country, there may be little federal land to set aside for housing construction. So we got two things to unpack here, Jackie. One being the building regulations and cutting those regulations, and then the federal land. Opening up federal land for new home construction. So fire away. Let's chat about the regulations first.
so yeah, I totally agree with that. I just the video I did a week ago, I talked about I was at the housing market, and this woman, Laura Escobar, who's now the chair of the National Mortgage Bankers Association, spoke at their conference, and she's calling out on Washington, on all the politicians, this issue where they we need to cut back on these regulations. I think now, don't quote me 100% on this, but I believe she said it's costing an additional $94,000 in regulations to these builders to build homes. So something definitely
94,000 per what?
per home on regulations like permits,
Regardless
filing
of,
permits, and yeah, that I'm assuming that's I should have brought the article, but I didn't bring the
because
receipts. So,
because a
but
lot of that
she's
I would imagine would be, it's based on a percentage, I would think.
yeah,
Percentage of the home value
but
because,
I'm not 100% how they came to that number, but she said it's $94,000 in permits and all the red tape that builders need to go through to in order to build a home. So I totally support this. I agree that we definitely need to build more homes. Now, to the point about the federal land, that it's nowhere near where people want to work and live. I mean, maybe it's just establishing. Now, this could be a problem too, because a lot of people, they're like, not in my backyard. They don't
yeah,
want to have
yeah,
overbuilding and all that stuff, right? But I mean, this could be opportunities, to create a new place for people to live and, start businesses and, where businesses could move to start like a new town or a city or something. I don't, something along those lines. But I think, yeah, it definitely needs to be done. But Jen, I have to tell you though, what keeps popping back in my head, the reason why we're in this situation, it goes back to 2008. Okay, when we
Yep.
had the financial crisis,
Mm-hmm.
builders jumped ship and they never went back and they
Preach,
stopped
Jackie.
building
Preach.
houses. Okay.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but this is true. It goes back to 2008. So if we're all, everybody's banking on a president or politicians to do this, I mean, it hasn't been addressed since 2008. It's been going on ever since.
Yep.
And here we are. Now it's like, oh my God, it's a disaster right now. And now it's like, it's just, I don't know if either one of them could fix this issue, honestly.
Well,
I appreciate the ideas, but I don't know. It's so bad right now,
so so here's the thing is, if we're talking about regulations, right? And you know, the regulations are there are a lot of unnecessary regulations, and a lot of it is because of, you know, advances, right? And
Mhm.
electrical and in foundation and everything. Every time something happens, a natural disaster, there's a new regulation. There's something to try to keep people safe, try to make it, try to move us along the line, right? And try to
Yep.
move us up the
Hmm.
ladder in terms of making it more progressive and so on and so forth. But here's I'm gonna do a devil's advocate to the whole
Okay.
situation of
Okay.
about doing that, or maybe to shift the focus. You have a builder who wants to build $1 million property, which is kind of
Hmm.
crazy that $1 million property is like, oh, it's $1 million property. I mean, it doesn't seem like that long ago that was like, oh, $1 million property is a luxury home. A lot of areas it's not, right?
No, it's not. Not here.
So they wanna build a home, and they have a choice of building a more conservative home, right? Even if it's lower
Right.
regulations, or they can build a larger home where they'll make
Hmm.
more money. What do you think they're going to do?
They're going to
The
be able to
thing, the
build a
thing,
bigger home.
the concept. I mean, talk about the open space, the federal land in a second. But the concept of reducing, I think it's a good idea? I think anything is going to help.
Yeah.
Anything positive is going to help. But is that the thing? Is that going to be a massive catalyst to opening up the new construction market? No, no. I think
Yeah.
incentives. I think builder incentives to encourage them to build a 2 family, a 3 family, a 4 townhouse building instead of a large single family
Hmm.
would
Hmm.
go farther, way farther. And then maybe cutting if you build something that fits within the parameters of affordable housing in this country, whether it be
Right.
a percentage of whatever the median, price is, the affordable price is determined for that area, then
Hmm.
maybe then you get some regulation cut, cost cutting instead of just doing it
Right.
across the board. I just think that we're in a capital society. Builders are
Yep.
going to want to make money.
That's true.
It's just the way it
That
is.
is true.
And if they
Yep.
have to, if they lose, getting back to the thing we are just talking about, if they lose the framer that worked for half of minimum wage because he was an undocumented immigrant, and now they've got to pay a framer that's, a minimum wage or
Hmm.
whatever. You know what I mean? There's going to be a
Yeah.
cost increase. They got to make up the money somehow. So I don't know that alone is something that's significant.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump over the comments here because we've
I
got
see
some,
your point.
you know, um, I think that anything positive, like to sit idle and do nothing, is not the answer. So
True.
anything,
Yeah.
anything that moves us in a positive direction is good. You know,
Yes.
Bubble Landia, thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back. My prediction: cost of housing goes up in New York and California even faster. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. I got some thoughts. Cost of housing everywhere
Okay.
has stagnant or goes lower. Yes, I think that is very has a high potential. Nicole says that I heard that the credit card interest rates will be lowered to 10% for a limited time. Even if the limited time is only 6 months, it would help us all
Oh,
get our debt to income ratio under control. I have not heard that. Have you, Jackie?
I have not heard that either. And I'm gonna go research that because that's
Yeah,
pretty cool. That
that
is
that's
awesome if
very
that's the
interesting.
case. Yeah.
That is
Yeah, oh my
very
God.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that, let me
That
tell
would
you
help
something.
a lot.
Credit cards are a black hole.
Uh,
I've had
don't
my
get me started.
experiences. I'm allergic to credit
I
cards.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I have
I don't use them
PTSD.
anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
No,
No, I don't use it at all. It's
I have,
cash or forget it. I'm not buying,
yeah,
I can't buy it.
I
Yep.
just, it's hard. But
No,
when you can't, when you don't have money to eat, yeah, you do what you
I
gotta
know.
do.
I know.
So
I
that's
know. That's
interesting. Thank
true.
you for sharing that.
Yes. Thank
Oh,
you.
I love this handle. Hugs and kisses.
I guess it's so nice.
XOXOXOXO.
Oh.
Here in SoCal, there is no more land, and prices will continue to be higher. And this is the thing, with, and
Yeah.
I'm going to jump back to the open space, the federal land in a second, but it's the same way here in Massachusetts. It's the same way over where you're at, Jersey,
Yep.
Jackie. Because
Yep.
the reality of it is
A
the
big
areas that are
problem here.
around the high demand, the land area around the high demand areas, those are always
Right.
the first to be developed. Period.
Yeah.
And if you've got an amenity that somebody wants to be near, whether it be the ocean or industry
Hmm.
or schooling or
Yep.
business or whatever. Yep.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Yippers. Robert Wilson says, I would think that these skyrocketing home values have to be putting pressure on homeowners having to pay higher property taxes and insurance until they can no longer afford the escrow payments. It's going to be
You're not
interesting.
wrong.
Yeah, you're absolutely, let me tell you something. You know, I consider myself very fortunate that I, I live very frugally, I guess, in the sense that, to try to keep my liability low.
Yep.
However, I live in Plymouth, but I do not live near the ocean. I live in
Hmm.
a modest 1,700 square foot house, right?
Hmm.
Nothing
Yep.
in a neighborhood, right?
Yep.
My insurance bill has doubled on my
Yep.
home and my car insurance.
Same. Same.
Doubled. I've been shopping the last 3 weeks, shopping around, and granted, I have now 3 cars because both my kids are driving. But
Hmm.
even then, it went up, and some of the estimates were up towards $10,000.
That's what I'm
I
paying.
wanted to vomit.
Yep. Yeah, I told you.
but
I told you that's what I'm paying a year. Yep.
but
It's
you look at
ridiculous.
to your point, Robert. If we look at anybody that's on a fixed income, that doesn't have the potential to earn, somebody who is on disability or Social Security or, retired or, whatever. Or their livelihood is set. They're earning what they earn. All of a sudden that ratchets up.
Yep.
And
It
most of these
does.
places with property taxes, that's the thing is that property taxes are directly linked to the home values. Different
Yes, they
areas,
are.
different
Yep.
areas are linked differently. Okay, so in other words, some areas will reassess, because I get this question all the time by folks when they buy the house. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we bought and it's $100,000 more than 2 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. Does that mean the home value, the property taxes are going to, shoot through the roof?" And the reality of it is like in where I'm at, they do it on a graduated basis so that, the property will be reassessed, but it doesn't get reassessed at what you paid. It gets reassessed based on what the area values. So your house, 4 bedrooms, bath and a half with a 2-car garage is going to be assessed
Hmm.
at this guy down the street. It has the same property. Your home has an updated kitchen. Theirs does not. It's going to be assessed the same. It's going to be assessed the
Right.
same. And that's the
Yep.
way it is here. That's not the way it is everywhere. Some
Yeah.
towns do full value assessments. So if you pay $600,000 for your house and you are the nicest house in the neighborhood, some areas you are assessed at $600,000. So
Yes. Yeah.
it's good to check when if you're out home buying and you want you're sensitive to that or something that just keep in mind when you're shopping to find out how the tax assessments work in the area that you're buying.
Yes, that is very important. So what you have in Massachusetts, we have the same thing here in Jersey. It's not assessed on the on what you paid. It comes with it comes up with a value. So, I mean, like we do have the highest taxes in the country, but it's okay.
You can keep it.
It's okay.
You can
Yeah,
keep
I
it.
know. I don't want to keep it anymore, but that's good advice. So definitely check what the assessment cycles are when you're in the location you're looking to buy. So
David says extending the Trump tax cuts should put more money in people's pockets. Let's
yes,
hope.
let's hope.
Let's hope. I will
Yep,
tell you, I'm self-employed. All real estate agents are self-employed. So
yep.
we all, we're 1099.
Mm-hmm.
There's no W-2, which means that we have self-employment taxes.
Mm-hmm.
My taxes were a little lower during the Trump administration,
Yep,
2016. So I'm hoping would be nice
yep. That'd
of
be
if the
very
taxes
nice.
go back down a little bit.
That'd be a huge
Considering I'm
help.
having to help my oldest with her college bills until she can get on her feet. Kids are expensive.
Kids,
Can we just do
they're
a
very
PSA?
expensive. Yeah.
Can we do a PSA? Like just don't have kids. Spend your money on yourself. Go
How come
travel.
nobody told us this?
Nobody
How
told
come
us
nobody told
that.
us?
Oh my
Nobody
God.
told us.
Good Lord.
Nobody told
Can you
us.
imagine
Oh,
not having children? How boring our life would be.
I know. I know.
There's some
Uh,
regulation is needed. Yes, hopefully some common sense
yes.
needed to be applied. I mean,
Yep.
you know what, David? You know my grandmother would say, common sense is not that common.
Okay.
That's my little,
I love it.
little, whatever you want to call it for today. Leah says, are most building regulations local? Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes. So, I mean, I would say that I think what Trump is talking about is putting the federal hand on the states. Is my
Hmm.
understanding. Would that be your understanding,
Yes.
Jackie?
Yeah,
So,
that's
in other
exactly what
words,
I'm
having it
thinking too.
instead of the local
Yep.
municipalities making decisions on what the regulations are. I mean, I shouldn't say local. It's state driven. So, like we have the Massachusetts Builders Association, that has building codes and regulations, right?
Hmm.
For electrical and so on and so forth. So, but yeah, it's actually, now that I'm talking about it, because I am not a new construction expert, a builder. I'm not a builder. I do not
Yeah,
have a
me
general
neither.
contractor license, and I don't play one on TV, so I don't know this for fact. But
You don't, Jen?
the I know, right? I could build. I mean, like with all the tools I have, I probably could be like I could bang out a house here, probably. But like the electrical codes and stuff. I think the electrical codes. You know what? Somebody in the chat will chime in, I'm sure. But aren't the electrical codes
Yes.
federally monitored and standardized?
Oh God, I don't know that.
I'm thinking
Don't
yes.
ask me that. I don't
I'm
know.
thinking yes. So
I don't
as
know.
things are coming in and solar and all the things, I mean, there's a lot. Um, yeah, Kelly says, which regulation's so vague? And I don't want to give up safety. We have regulations to protect us from each other. That is the truth. 100%. I think
Hmm.
the thing though, Kelly, that, we definitely don't want to give up, obviously, safety, but some of the
Absolutely.
regulations are overboard. Some of the regulations are
Yeah,
just
some of them are.
overboard.
So,
It's a little bit excessive on something in some areas.
yep.
In terms of, you know, I can see on some of the things like back in the day, there were, and this, you don't see them as much now, but I remember when I got into the biz, 1996, there was a certain type of electrical service panel that was outlawed because it was known to cause fires. Has
Right.
been now regulated, and for a while there, when I go look at homes with a home buyer, and I just can't remember the name of it. Boy, getting older is not what it. They don't tell you about that either. About forgetting stuff.
So
But you know what I'm saying? It's like when I would go look at these homes with these buyers, I would look at and we would be on the lookout, and if we saw one of those panels, that is something that was totally legit. We got to get that's something that needs to be corrected right away. But what are you going to say, Jackie?
I was going to say I just did a little search here. So they do have the National Electric Code, which is there. So the states regulate electrical codes through the National Electric Code, the NEC. So yeah, so there is a national regulation that the states need to follow.
Got it.
So does a code vary by state? The adopted electrical code vary by state or local jurisdiction. Okay, so I guess that's like the standard. The NEC is the standard of what
The NEC
should be followed.
Yes.
The NEC, yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
National
All right.
Electrical Contractors or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that. David says maybe incentives and less regulations for more affordable options, more manufactured home parks.
So can I?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but when I
No,
saw manufactured home parks, it just sparked something in my head because one thing
I thought I smelled something
I
burning.
do. No, shut up.
Did you see what you did there? You were just talking about electrical, and you're like, it sparked something in my head.
See?
That was pretty good, Jackie.
Yeah,
That was clever.
thanks. I try,
That was
Jen.
clever.
So, yes, the incent. Thank you. So, yeah, David, I agree with you. Incentives, less regulations for to bring in more manufactured home parks. I think that's an amazing thing. However, I don't think either one of them talked about how of these corporations that bought up all these homes over the last couple of years, making them rentals. And now there's an issue with them buying up mobile home parks. So,
Oh, you mean corporate investors?
corporate investors,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. I
So,
mean, let's
what are
hear
we doing
some.
about that?
Yeah, let's hear. I want to hear some regulations about that from the Trump administration.
Yeah,
Like that.
that's
That's
important to me. When do we stop? We got to cut that crap out. We have to stop that.
amen.
And there's been talks about that where they were saying, we can't. Investors aren't allowed to. I saw some type. It was a bill that was proposed. Oh God, I don't know how long ago it was, but I don't know whatever happened with it. But they're talking about how investors can't go in and buy a home. It has to be offered to the home, the regular people first.
Yep.
There needs to be that needs to be regulated. We got to stop these corporate investors from scapping up the homes. That ruined. Oh my God. That was the past few years, nightmare for people. So,
100%.
all right.
Hugs and Kisses says in SoCal regulations for AUDs or ADUs have been lifted. However, they are affecting neighbors' property values negatively. Interesting. Also, builders are required
Ah,
to build a percentage of homes and units for low income. So Massachusetts has a very similar requirement that when a new home builder, and they do it per town, per town has to have a certain percentage of low income, and not low income you would think like section 8 low income, but affordable, what they deemed as affordable housing. So it's could be townhomes, it could be something other than luxury homes. But that's interesting about ADUs. We don't see a lot of ADUs here yet.
yeah, we don't
But
either.
that's
We don't
interesting that
have it.
they're affecting the property values negatively. That's very interesting.
Yeah, that
Huh.
is interesting.
That's very interesting.
So with the affordable housing stuff, we have that here in New Jersey. It's called the Mount Laurel Doctrine, and that was implemented back in 1975,
Yep.
where the state requires each municipality you have to have a certain amount of low income homes available. And now they just came back to my town specifically. They're looking for us to have another 4,000 homes. I'm like, where? Like we have no
You
room
just
for
stack
it.
them on top of each other.
Yeah, but I mean, it's getting it. Listen, I'm all for it. Like, we want affordable housing, but it's like there's no land here. Have you
Well, you've
guys
got
looked
the
around?
what's the area the oh God, I'm just about done watching The Sopranos.
The
Um,
Pine
the
Barrens, the
Pine
Pine
Barrens where they
Barrens.
bury
Yeah,
bodies. Like they got the
I
Pine
know.
Barrens
Yes.
that just start to it'd be like
No.
back home, be like arms and skeletons dropping
Could
off.
you
It'd be like
imagine? It'll be
somebody
like
call Tony.
Poltergeist.
Somebody called
You remember
Tony
the movie?
Soprano.
But do you
Yes.
remember Poltergeist? You'll
Yes.
have like ghosts. You'll have ghosts and like skeletons coming out of the ground if you build houses there. I'm just saying. Okay, never mind.
You never know.
Hey, Jen.
Ivy Roses, thank you so much. I appreciate. Hey, we're here to entertain and educate. Maybe in
Hey.
that order or not in that order. You choose.
Yep.
You choose. You know what, Jackie? I've said this before. My philosophy is, laughing is so much better than crying.
Yeah. You
And
think?
it's a much
Yeah.
healthier existence, and I'd rather laugh
Exactly.
at myself or in general,
Yep.
or whatever,
Yep.
and then and it's actually good for your, it's actually physiologically
It's very good for you.
whatever, I
Because
can't say the, thank you, how do you say the word, whatever, your body is better for
your
laughing.
body's
It makes
okay. There you
it
go.
does good, to your
Yes,
body.
does a body. It does a body good,
It does a
like
body
milk.
good. Yes, it does a body good.
Yes.
Nicole says that I heard one of Trump's latest speeches for the 10% interest rate.
Okay.
So interesting. Very, very
Cool.
interesting.
Cool. I hope that comes to fruition.
Yep, that's never going to happen. Ever, ever, ever. No credit card company is going to go to. Well, so here's the thing. So either one of two things is going to happen. Either the federal government is now going to stick their hands and start having mandates with credit card companies and private businesses. That's what all these credit card
Hmm.
companies are, all private businesses, and they start putting on these, passing these laws.
Yep.
But I mean, that's the only way something like that's ever going to happen, because the government doesn't control credit card rates. That would be
No, they
like
don't. No, they
the
don't control
government
it. But
coming in and telling you and I what we charge for real estate commissions, or
yeah, no,
what a builder is going to charge for their house, or
right,
whatever. I mean, the list goes on. Like, it's just, I just find that hard to believe, but we'll see.
right.
It says in California, Hugs and Kisses says in California, minimum wage increases are creating higher prices.
Yeah,
The
yeah. I'm not
money's got to come
surprised at
from
that.
somewhere.
Exactly.
The
Yep.
money's got to come from somewhere. No one gets a
Yep.
free ride. Nobody says, "I'm going to do this out of the goodness of my heart." This is all. It's a capitalist society. Somebody has to, somebody's going to pay. Period.
Yep.
All
That's
right.
right. Yep.
Just the way it is. David says that energy independence and lower energy prices. God, David, you've got some great comments, questions. Thank you for being
He
here.
really does. I
He's a
know.
smart guy.
Love
Energy.
David.
Omaha, Omaha, Omaha. This is my Aunt Peyton Manning reference. Which in New England, we're not a fan of Peyton Manning. Just by the way, nothing. Nothing
Oh,
against.
come
Just,
on.
yeah. Just saying. Energy independence and lower energy prices should keep more money in people's pockets and help lower some cost to bring goods to market.
Yes.
Maybe,
Yep.
maybe, you know,
Yep. We shall
well,
see.
we shall see. We
We
hope.
shall see what's going to happen. Yep.
Let's see. We've got probably missed fitness health says true. I don't know
Yes.
what you're referring to, but I'll go. Hey, that
Yeah.
sounds good
Hey.
to me. And David says, hopefully less wars will be more money spent on the folks at
Yes.
home. You know
Let's
what?
hope. Yep. Let's.
Yeah, I'm going to resist the temptation to go down a rabbit hole on that topic, but yes, let's. We need to address the issues here. Unfortunately, I really don't think
Absolutely.
Trump can do anything about mortgage interest rates. Talk
No,
about a
he can't.
segue. I love me a good segue.
Yeah.
I love me a good segue.
This is why David's here. Thank you, David. This is why you're here. You're part of the show.
Love you, buddy. Let's go on to the
Yes.
next segment. Pressure Fed to lower rates. This was the next. This was the third thing on
Get
that
that.
list of things that the Trump administration is mentioned during their lost my word, when they're out on the road
On their campaign, you
campaign.
mean? On
Good
the
Lord, I'm
campaign.
losing my
It's,
flipping
well,
mind.
listen, we're middle-aged women here, we can't think
You
straight.
know
Come
what?
on, it's okay.
Menopause is underrated.
It's
It's
menopause
totally
sucks.
overrated. Like, you know what? Somebody sold me a bill of goods. Nobody told me it was going to be like this. I'm like, oh, no big deal.
Exactly.
Anywho, although the male audience is like, don't care, don't have to deal with it.
I know,
Lucky
right? They're
you,
like, oh, shut up.
lucky
I know.
you.
Oh
Anywho,
my God.
it says finally Trump has also claimed that we would somehow lower mortgage rates, although there is no clear mechanism for the president to do so. We're going to take a deep dive into this, Jackie. Reducing mortgage rates is a big factor, he said. We're going to get them down to, we think, 3%, maybe even lower than that, saving the average homebuyer thousands of dollars per year. Mortgage rates have risen for the past 4 consecutive weeks, hitting 6.72% last week. Quote, the president doesn't, channel says that, I forget who the channel was earlier in the article, but anyway, it says
He's one of the economists,
thank
I
you.
think. Yeah.
The president doesn't set mortgage rates. If elected,
Right.
Trump would probably wouldn't be able to arbitrarily decide to lower them, even if he wanted to. Trump has
That's right.
previously shared his belief that the Federal Reserve should take orders from the president instead of independently setting monetary policy as it currently does. But even the Fed does not directly control mortgage rates, which follow the underlying bond market and move in response to investor expectations about the economy, inflation, and future fiscal and monetary policy. The Fed began cutting its benchmark rate in September, but mortgage rates have climbed steadily since then, due mostly to investor fears that a Republican sweep of the White House and Congress would increase deficit spending. Yields, and this is important, yields on the 10-year Treasury jumped to 4.44% on Wednesday, up from 4.3% a day earlier, suggesting that mortgage rates will continue to rise in the short term. Mark Zandi, who's the chief economist at Moody Analytics, said last week investors are taking Trump at his word and believe if he wins, it will lead to higher tariffs, immigrant deportations, and deficit financed tax cuts, and a full employment economy, all of which means higher inflation and more government borrowing. The recent surge in mortgage rates is a clear indication that what investors believe a Trump victory would mean for the economy and the nation's fiscal outlook. Okay.
Right.
We got so if we first start talking about this in terms of the claim that we're going to get those rates down and that President-elect Trump wants to, his belief is that the Federal Reserve should take direction and orders from the president instead of independently setting monetary policy.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me, and actually I was talking about this on my last live stream, which was 2 weeks ago. About how the mortgage rates are set and how that all works, right? And that the reality of it is the mortgage rates, the mortgage market is not connected to the federal rate. And
Correct.
the Fed sets the rate and they adjust the rate as it pertains to the general economy, and they react to economic data, jobs market, so on and so forth, all the indicators that they do. But what happens is we saw the stock market take a jump, right, on Wednesday.
Yep.
Stock market took a jump, and the bond market benefits when that happens, right? Or the bond market is affected because of the fact that rate, that bond market rate, what the investors can sell that treasury for, that the yield that is created by the bonds that are sold, if I'm getting this correctly, that affects the mortgage rate. So we see bond rates go up,
Right.
mortgage rates go up. When bond rates go down, mortgage rates go down.
Right.
typically over the last, 50 years, typically there is for the most part, mortgage rates have been more or less in line with the federal rate. But we have an atypical situation in this economy right now, and an atypical situation in the housing market. And the fact that the president has absolutely no control over the interest
Right.
rates.
No, they do not. No, they do not.
None. The only
No.
thing they could do, Jackie, is somehow influence the bond market, the stock market.
Right. And maybe see, this is the thing. Maybe they took this out of context a little bit when he was saying this in his speech. We'll get the rates down, meaning that what he's going to do for the economy will help bring those rates back down. I'm just thinking out loud here. Like
Sure.
that's how that's what he meant, but it was taken as like, oh, he's going to say he's going to bring the rates down, which we know that cannot happen. But here's my thing. 3%, he's saying 3%, no, I don't think it'll ever go back to 3%.
Nope.
And never. I don't agree with that. I don't think it'll ever get down to that. But here's the thing we have to think about. If you get those rates down to that low, 4%, 3%, what's going to happen, Jen? What's going to happen?
Prices are going to skyrocket.
Price is going to skyrocket.
Yep.
So be careful with that interest rate, because
be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. Lower is not better. Lower is not necessarily better.
It's not. If we have a healthy number like in the 5%, like it was several years ago, that I think is that's a decent, to keep. It's enough to help people move, to sell, to move, to be able to buy something else and open up, free up more inventory, and it'll be enough. I think it'll be low enough to help people who are entering the housing market for the first time. So
I think it's like a dance, right?
Yeah.
It's a very calculated dance that all of these things need to work in unison. We can't just have lower rates. We can't just have higher inventory. We can't just have, affect, bring the cost of construction up or down. By itself, it doesn't work. It's a combination of all these things. If we even have a inkling of a chance of getting this housing market into a place where it is more affordable.
Yeah.
I think the only way it happens is, I think the best way, and this article, I think it goes on to, actually, you know what? I'm gonna jump right back, because the article did wrap up by saying that Trump unlikely to solve the housing crisis. And this is actually where I was headed. Most economists agree that a dire shortage of homes is the root cause of the nation's housing affordability crisis. Housing supply, lack thereof, has plagued the U.S. housing market for at least a decade. This is not COVID.
Yes.
This is not COVID.
Right.
With our estimate of a range of 2.5 million to 7.2 million unit gap from 2012 to 2023, depending on the assumptions of the analyst, due to a combination of both geographic and legal constraints on development, we simply haven't built enough housing when and where we need it the most.
Yep.
This sums up everything. So, I think that the getting some type of incentive to the home builders, relaxing on the regulations to the home builders, opening land to the home builders in the proper location, opening up federal land by itself is not going to work, because, and we kind of were talking about that a little bit earlier, Jackie and I actually wanted to go back, and I got sidetracked a little bit, but opening federal land is a great idea in theory, but the reality of it is when you have a first-time home buyer, are they going to drive 2.5 hours to work? No.
Right.
No.
Right.
The reason why this federal land, a lot of it that is locked up, a lot of this land that they're talking about, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's not near major industry. And here's the thing, every state, right? Like we were talking about California, West Coast, East Coast, yes, those are the most expensive places to live. Those are also the places where you make the most money because there's more
Yes.
industry. There's more reasons for people to live here because the pay
Right.
structure is higher. You're going to make more money in whatever you're doing in areas across the country that are more densely populated with opportunity, right? Employment
Yes.
opportunity. So if you have these tracts of land by itself, I mean, if you're retired or you want to start a ranch or something or whatever, like that's a different story. That's not the average first time home buyer that he's talking about. I
Yep.
mean, there's a reason why condos, became very popular, and is because you could live near those things. You could live it without a car.
Mm-hmm.
Take public transportation. Now you don't have the expensive auto insurance and the overhead
Yep.
of upkeep and all the things. Cut your total budget down to be able to make it a little bit
Right.
more affordable, right?
Yep. Right.
So I think that when it all comes down to it, I mean, it all sounds great. I think that if I think there's got to be a way to they've got to attack the lack of units. That's the only way that this
Yes.
wins, that we win in bringing down the housing prices.
Yep. I agree. It should have been done years ago.
And
They
the other
never,
thing would be
and it's
too is
never been addressed.
no, 100%. And unfortunately, because it wasn't addressed and the housing market continued to grow and grow and grow,
Hmm.
ideally, the housing inventory would grow with it. So yes, housing prices, it's not housing prices going up. It's not that they went up, it's the fact that they went up so drastically and at a faster rate than what the income is, what the median income is. Housing
Right.
prices have been going up for the last 50 years, but so
Right.
hasn't the median income. And the problem is
Right.
it's gone up faster than income. So what needs to happen is it needs to slow so that income can eventually catch up. And the only way we get it to slow is to have more choice so people pull back. And
Hmm.
if you've got, one buyer can choose between five different houses,
Yeah.
the seller that holds out for the high price, have fun.
Yeah.
Nobody's buying it
Yep. That would
because
be a wonderful thing.
that would be the house down the street. Buy the house down the street for 10,000 less, $15,000 less.
No, but that would be a wonderful thing to have a choice of like five houses. Because I mean, Jen, let's face it. I mean, for my kids, and I'm sure you worry for your kids, how the heck are they going to be able to buy a house right now?
We'll cross that
Or
bridge
even
when
in
we
the
get to
next
it.
like 5 years? Oh, I know, but it's like
Cross that bridge when we get
it's
to it.
just so
Because
challenging,
I'll tell you
so
right now, they are
expensive.
not living here for the next 30 years. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
That ain't happening. I love my children. I
Yeah,
love my
same.
children. I love,
I
love,
know,
love,
I
love
love
my
mine
children.
too.
But they need
You can't
to
stay here all the time. Yeah, I
go.
know.
I love you. Go. Go, go, go.
Yes. Yes.
California Sunset Watcher says, I want to know how it will look on my tax return with no tax on overtime. Yeah.
Yep.
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 Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yep. All right. What else we got?
This is their
You got a good comment section here. You got a good
Yeah,
audience
we got some
here.
good participation.
Miss?
Hey, I appreciate
Yes,
all
we
of you
do.
guys. Like I mentioned this a couple
Yeah.
times about keeping the chat focused on
They've
housing.
been very good.
And
Yes.
you know what? Much love to you
Thank you.
guys. This is
Thank,
good conversation.
thank you.
Hugs and Kisses says yes, there are standardized building codes. However, there are local codes for existing conditions. So it's like layered, right? So you've got your
Yep.
your standards, and then you have whatever the municipalities want to add on top for extra. Um, I don't know what he agrees with, Jackie, but David agrees.
Okay. Thanks, David.
And California Sunset Watcher says we have national electrical codes and
Electric
state
codes and
codes.
state
Yep.
codes.
Yep.
Yes.
There we go.
Yep.
Oh, Hugs and Kisses, BlackRock. Yep.
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 Yeah. Yeah. That's what we're talking
That's what we're
about.
just talking about.
Lovely BlackRock.
Ivorus says there aren't that many homes owned by investors. It's only like 3% of the homes. Calm down.
No. No. No.
It
No. No.
depends. I think.
Depends
Okay.
on the air. Like it
It
depends on what part of
depends.
the country, but yeah, no, there's a large amount. So if you look at in Atlanta, Georgia, you go into Sun Belt, Oh, they are. There's a lot. There's a lot. It's yeah. No, it's not 3%. It's more than that. So I'm just saying. I
Maybe.
don't know the
Maybe
exact
it's,
number.
I think that, I don't know. I don't disagree with Ivy Roses on that, Jackie.
I don't know.
I don't
I think it's
disagree.
more than 3%. I don't think it's as
I don't
low as
know.
three
I think
percent
that
though.
our friend Ray Allen did the numbers and did a ton of research, and he said it was 3%.
He did say it was 3%. I don't know.
Because you got
All
to look
right.
at the number of homes across the country and all of those areas that are not affected at all. And it's just like anything else. It's like the insurance market where you have a great deal of concentrated high policy, high events that are
Mm,
jacking up the prices, but then they spread it across everybody.
yep.
And I
Yep.
think that's the same thing because, like, I mean, we don't have an investor housing. I mean, I don't see it. Haven't heard of it.
Well,
Nobody come
well,
across it.
we don't
But
have
it's
it
like,
here because it's too expensive. I
well,
have a house
that's
here
what I'm
in
saying.
Jersey.
That's
Why would they say that? But in the Sun Belt, like for a couple of years ago, they were buying all of those homes. I did a video a year ago. Was it last year, 23? About a company out of Canada, an investor in Canada that bought, I forget, go find it's the videos on my channel, but it's all about, and it was a 60-minute segment that I talked about,
it would be
but how this
interesting to
young,
see
this,
how that's broken down by state and the
yeah,
percentages of investor-owned homes by state, because I'm
yep.
sure that it's going to vary greatly.
Look,
Kelly
it,
Hunt's
yeah,
he says, "You want to talk regulations? I work in research for the greater good." Tedious for sure.
it is for sure. Jeez. Yeah,
I love you. Say somebody's got to do the hard work. You know.
that's right. Yep.
Didn't introduce a bill to control corporate buying real
Right.
estate back in 2024. Congress didn't pass it. Surprise, surprise.
Yep.
Um, David loves The Sopranos. Amen.
Uh,
Amen, brother.
Sopranos are the best.
Yeah, they are. Hugs and kisses. ADUs are being built within 12 inches or less from the neighbors. How? So that's a
Oh,
zoning issue.
that is a zone. Oh
That's a
my
zoning issue that should
gosh.
12. That's a 1 foot zoning variance. That's
That,
not. That's
yeah, that's not cool.
that's not right.
I don't like that. No, too close.
Well, San Diego. In San Diego, it's about 12%. I mean, they must be talking about. They're talking about BlackRock, maybe.
Okay.
Interesting. 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 Uh, let's see here. Well, this is smaller modular homes, yes. Manufactured mobile homes, no. They are built to a lower standard, tend to depreciate, not appreciate, and often you don't own the land. Okay, there is a huge difference between modular homes and manufactured homes. Manufactured homes are mobile homes, I should say, because manufactured and modular have been interchangeable. They can be interchanged. The wording can be interchangeable. Mobile homes, anything with an axle. If you've got an axle on that home, you're
Hmm.
absolutely right. They do not manufacture those homes. It's like glorified RVs, honestly. But a modular
Yep.
home that's built in a factory is built at the same specs as a stick built home, if not better, because they have to
Hmm.
withstand going down the highway at 60 miles an hour.
Yep.
And I will tell you, when I go into go into a property and I go down to the basement, and I can tell right away that if it's been a modular home or a on-site built home, because typically it's
Hmm.
always 2x6 construction. The support in the main I-beam is usually double in width. So you have one I-beam that supports your house down the middle of the property. But the thing is a lot of these modular homes are built, they're coming in two sections, right? So you've got your front and your back. And then depending if it's got a second
Hmm.
floor, you've got front and back of the second floor, or maybe one and then a gable for a Cape style house. But
Hmm.
when you have those two, they each have center I-beams. So now you've got double the center I-beam. It's like the equivalent of having a steel beam in the house.
Right.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
right? So fantastic.
Yes.
So, and they still have to, they have to abide by the local building codes, because when you put a modular home on a property, that property you typically own. You can put it on a leased property, but that's not as common. More often than not, you find it on, property that you sell, that you own rather. I mean,
Right.
around here they would build out a foundation and dig it, do all the infrastructure before the modular home comes, and then you put the home on, and then the contractors come in and put in the heating system. So it is a far, far less expensive to build a modular home. Problem is
Well,
available land.
exactly. All
Um,
right.
David says new leadership at the DOJ might mean a better relationship with the real estate industry.
Oh, let's hope for
We'll
that.
see. We'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
see. Let's hope. Yes.
Um, you know what, David says, let's talk about real quick about maybe tariffs. A
Mm-hmm.
little bit. Strategic tariffs to keep businesses in the USA. However, an all out trade war could be inflationary and raise prices. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ivy says, what is a strategic tariffs?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm just going to get back down to David's comment. It says, John Deere closing a plant and leaving Ohio and moving to Mexico put a 100% tariff on all tractors if John Deere leaves. That's what I mean by a strategic tariff.
Strategic tariff. Okay.
So it
Yep.
is my understanding that tariffs, a tariff for goods coming into the United States affects the person that is bringing the good in.
Right.
Okay. So
Yes.
I guess I'm unclear on how that would affect how a strategic tariff would work, because I think President-elect Trump's goal is to have more industry here, to
Mm-hmm.
dissuade the country from outsourcing because it's going to cost more money.
Right.
Your iPhone, your cell phones, every
Mm-hmm.
cell phone. I don't think any cell phones are manufactured here, Jackie, right?
Yeah, I don't think
Every
so.
single one of those cell phones
Yep.
could have a tariff on it, which will increase the price.
Right.
Period. Okay. The only way you get around that is you start a cell phone manufacturing plant here.
Right.
I know that certain car companies, Toyota did that. Toyota,
Yes. Toyota
my
announced. Yeah.
my car is
Go
built
ahead.
in the U.S. I've been a
That
Toyota
was
owner
mine.
for years. My Toyota is built in the U.S. of A. Is
Mine
not
came from
imported.
Indiana.
Yep.
My new
So
my new car just got came from Indiana. Yep. That's right.
that
And
I think
Toyota's opening up more. They want to bring more. They're going to open up more plants here
so I think
in the United
that's
States.
the dependence on other goods. I think that potentially there's going to be some serious growing pains
Yeah.
in the short term. It's not going
Yep.
to happen like, oh, we've got a new president, everything's going to be fine.
Yep.
It has the
Yeah.
potential to be better in the long run, but I think that you take something like, okay, so a builder needs to get drywall, and they need
Yep.
to bring that drywall in from out of the country, and the manufacturing is not here yet. How long does it take to get a drywall manufacturing plant set up, productive?
Right.
It's going to take a long time. They
Yep.
can use the federal land for that.
Hmm.
Use the federal
Yeah.
land for
There you go.
for businesses, because you
For
don't
businesses
need.
and bringing jobs back. Yeah. There you go.
I should
Yes.
probably write a letter. That's a brilliant
Get on
idea.
that, would you?
If that
Get
comes
on
up in the
that,
news
Jen.
tomorrow, you all, like, as a witness, you can say that Jen thought of that.
Get
I
on that,
thought of
Jen.
it first. It was my idea, but not even close.
Oh
Oh
God.
my goodness! All these comments. Thank you so much, guys, for being so.
Wow.
Let's
Everyone's
say
like so like
it's such a great.
everyone's just yeah,
Let's
it's
see.
great.
Um,
No drama. I love it. Love
Derek
it, love
Adams
it,
says
love it.
Trump's proposed tariffs will only increase the cost to build. More people will be pushed out of the housing market, plain and simple. I think the short term that has the potential for happening. I really do, because of what we were just talking about.
Right.
If you have on the short term all everything that goes into building a home. Again, the goal being that we want to get those jobs back to the U.S. We want to have the manufacturing back in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time.
Yes,
It takes
it
time.
does.
So
Yep.
it's not. And if the solution to the housing market, the best solution is to build more, but yet it's going to cost more.
Yep. Hmm.
Um, Ivy Roses says, no company is going to pay the tariff tax imposed from their profits. So just pass it on to the consumer. That is a fact.
Yes.
100%. This is a capitalist society.
Yep. It's
No
true.
one's going to tell
Yep.
no business. I don't care how generous you are. No business is going to take it because it all trickles downhill. I
Hmm.
mean, it does make me ill thinking about some of the millions of dollars these top executives make. But yeah,
Right.
it is what it is. At AV Shush, how about buying a house with crypto?
Oh
I
God,
have
I know nothing
no
about
idea.
no I crypto d- over my head.
That is out of
No
my
idea about
wheelhouse. I
crypto.
have
Totally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
How many times have somebody
Mm-mm.
asked you about buying a house with crypto? Like actually, like a client, Jackie.
I've never had anybody ask me about that. No, zero. Thank you.
I think it's a good. It's a speculative event.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yes.
it has practical applications, unfortunately.
Yep.
Um, let's see here. Yeah, Hugs and Kisses says ADUs are being built to answer housing shortage, but also increase in property taxes.
Mm,
That is true. Well, they should build an
yep.
ADU to house your college student, college grad, and then let them pay the property tax.
Yeah. There you go. See, Jen, you smart. Very smart.
There you go. The button's getting a lot of use tonight. Getting a little
Yes,
worn
it
out.
is.
Um,
Oh,
is it Jen John Deere would not profit by leaving. It would hurt their profits if they leave. Interesting. 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 Yeah, some of this economic casualties and the dance that industry
mhm.
does is it's complicated. It's a
Yes.
little complicated. And I will tell you that out of all these conversations over the last year and a half, right? Um,
Hmm.
with what's happening, during the campaigning and so forth,
Yep.
I think it's a good thing. The general public, it raises the level of awareness.
Yes.
So, 100%. Um, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it,
Yes.
Jackie.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for being here.
What?
Jackie, what? Ooh, you are
The what?
just you be spicy, girl.
I am
Jackie's
spicy. No, I'm
spicy.
happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I love being on here with you.
Hey,
Oh, geez, who's
this
that?
is Jackie's YouTube channel. You can go check it out if you want to see a spicy
Yeah,
lady.
thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Dose of your daily dose of real estate reality
Real
with
estate reality.
Jersey Jackie Baker. She's got
Thank you.
some great content on that channel. And if
Thank
you
you, Jen.
guys need a referral to a great agent, so this is my website. There's a link in the description. You can click on that link. There's a video. I added a video explaining exactly how I find the agents that you need. You can check that out. And for sure, it takes me it takes me a couple days to research because I do interview agents.
Hmm.
But and then we got this little thing. I gotta like I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream. This is a new live streaming software. I gotta adjust the alignment here on these
Yeah.
websites. It's a little off, but you guys get the gist. So Jackie and I have a little passion project. If you guys want a few laughs, we've got a
Yes.
podcast that we also
If you find
dump
if you
on.
find us entertaining here, we're more entertaining there. Just go check that out. It's awesome.
100%. Oh, I just realized. Hey, our friend. You know what?
Oh,
Appreciate you, man.
David's the
Appreciate you.
best.
Thanks
He's
for
the
the.
best.
Appreciate the live, the super chat. The super chat.
Yeah.
Gotta get some
You
super
need that.
chat.
Yes, you need that on your
It's a work in
stream deck
progress.
there.
It's a work in
Okay.
progress. Yes, actually, and you know what, Derek, thank you very much. Thank you much
Oh,
appreciate
cool.
that, my friend,
See?
very, very much. Um,
Nice.
so, anyways, check out the podcast. What's on all the podcast networks. Like I said, it's not connected to this, at all, but just it's a fun project. And we dump it on the YouTubes if you don't want to listen to the podcast. You just want to look at our mugs for an hour.
Yep.
And we talk about Reddit stories and talk about everybody's misfortune.
So fun.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's so
goodness.
fun.
Well,
Oh,
you know what, Jackie? Thanks for being here.
Jen,
I
thank
really,
you for having me.
I
It's
appreciate you.
always fun.
I appreciate you,
And
my
I
friend.
appreciate
So,
you.
and
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys all being in the chat. I appreciate the constructive conversation. We've got a ways to go. There's going to be
Yes.
more conversations as we get news and developments and things unfold. I will be keeping you updated as we go. Next week, we'll be back to the regular time, 6 p.m. Tuesday evening. I'll be back to that time slot to move things around today. I got a thing with the kid tonight. Got a parent conference at the school.
Those darn kids. They
Those
always
darn
gotta
kids,
throw a
man.
wrench. They gotta throw a wrench into
We love
everything.
them. We love them. But
Yes, we do.
thanks for everybody. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will be good to your neighbors. Be kind. Be patient. And stay safe. And have a great week. Always look for the positive.
Yes.
Be good, everyone.
Thank you, Jen.
See ya.
Bye.